Good morning, everybody.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Who said you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Hi, I'm Gail Rubenstein, the founder and CEO of Retail Resilient. We teach car dealers all over the country how to sell more cars and make more money using social media platforms. Like I said, who says you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Check us out at retailresilient.com or send us a message in the chat bar on the Auto Hub Show.
This is Barry Jordan from whitegloveperformancegroup.com. I'd like to take a few moments of your time to share how we can make you more profitable. Dealerships all over North America are using our cloud-based power dialing platform, Touchpoint, to manage their outbound sales-generating phone calls. With Touchpoint, your agents can make up to 50 calls an hour. Leave a voicemail, send an email with a link to a video or to your website, all with a click of the mouse. We specialize in empowering your teams to make the calls that make the sales. How can Touchpoint help you increase profit? Check us out, whitegloveperformancegroup.com.
Hi everyone, I'm John Latka from Automotive Business Solutions, where we help dealerships build more productive and proactive by appointment sales cultures through our Performance Management Partnership Program. So, if you want to increase your sales volume by 2 to 3 sales per month per salesperson, call our toll-free number, 877-708-8484 for a free consultation.
Thank you very much. All right. Book recommendations. There's tons of books on podcasting. So if you're looking to get into the podcast game, you're in podcasting and you want to get better, obviously talk to other podcasters, but here's a couple. Podcasting for Dummies, Podcast Launch, and Podcast. Learn how to stop babbling and start podcasting like a pro. There's tons of other books, but those are a few. Go ahead, Jeff.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. It's great to be here. I apologize for the noise in the background. I am broadcasting from a cafe while I'm away on holidays, and I won't make anybody jealous as where I am because it's pretty awesome. So
We know.
Our disclaimer is, please remember, yeah, you know, but I haven't told anybody else, so except for Ian. So our disclaimer, of course, is the fact that the views expressed today are those of our guests and not necessarily of Ian or myself or the Auto Hub show. And now we've handled the legalese.
Thank you. Ian. So the show today is really about podcasting. So we have some very diverse guests from different areas talking about what it takes to be a podcaster, but more importantly, hopefully dropping some knowledge. I had the opportunity last week to be in Las Vegas for Digital Dealer and met Fred and his partner in crime there live on the show, and I got the mug to prove it, I guess. But also there was a lot of cool podcast-like things going on. It was very good to see people live. It's been a long time. It was a pleasure to see, El Patron and others there as well. And I will be posting some video. I don't know if it's enough for a show, but I will be posting some video this week. And that's it for me. So go ahead, Jeff. Talk a little bit about you.
Well, thank you, everybody. I'm a car guy. I've been around for a long time, and my favorite line is since before I had hair. So, which was a long, long time ago. Right now I'm working with a variety of people, but mostly got a partnership in a little used car lot, which has rekindled my love for the business right down in the pitches, etc. So a little bit about me, and it's funny how our topic about podcast has come, because our show started as a Zoom show, and right now, of course, we're all on Zoom. But we've noticed over the last 6-8 months how our live audience has dwindled. And now we're seeing our podcast views just go through the roof. And we appreciate all the promotions by everybody does, of course, Gail and John and everybody there. So it's a big change. It's a learning curve. And so that's why we're here today. And so we have four very unique guests. Two of them might as well be one. We don't know who that is, right, Fred and Lynn? And
I thought it was me and my split personality.
But first, I've got to mention him because he's a loyal fan. I'd like to call you a fanboy there, John, but also a sponsor. John Latka, who's a podcast host of Power Passive Competition, also the CEO, trainer, speaker, voiceover artist with dulcet tones, from the Automotive Business Solutions in Halifax, Nova Scotia, probably the second furthest point east of anybody on this show today. John, can you just say hello to everybody and tell us about your podcast experiences?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. And the other thing I'd like to do is probably get Gail to do my next commercial.
Yes. Love it.
Now we're talking. Anyway, listen, thanks for having me on again. What's interesting is we launched another podcast this morning. We do ours weekly. And I had a couple of people actually connect with me. One of them said, another great podcast this morning, John. And, you know, I got to send a shout out to Robin Trim. He's with Dobson Chrysler in St. John, New Brunswick. Seems to be one of the fans of the show. And Paul Henderson from Steele Chevrolet texted me saying that this morning's show had great information and that he really enjoyed it. So I'm really thankful for people that are tuning in. In terms of some of my experiences, I mean, I'm very inexperienced when it comes to podcasts. We have 17 on the books, including the original trailer. What's interesting is that when I started thinking about podcasts, I thought, you know what, I'm going to do everything on my own. And then I decided, you know what, I think I'm going to get some professional help. So found a studio with a producer and an editor. And after launching the trailer, what's interesting is that the owners of the studio asked if I'd be interested in doing some voiceover work. So the first voiceover to a trailer for a new podcast just launched last week. And we've also recorded the voiceover for the intro, spot in the middle, and the outro for the podcast. So far I'm new, but having a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. Well, you know, John, I got a little worried there when you started talking about professional help, because of course in the car industry, when we talk about professional help, we know what that really is. But thank you for joining us. John, your podcast is called Power Passive Competition?
That's correct. And it's
next
available
we have
on all major platforms.
Our next guest is actually a professional podcaster, a person that actually teaches people about podcast marketing, etc. Not necessarily a car guy, so might very well be, or girl, might very well be the only sane person on this show right now. But we have Ben Baker joining us from Richmond, British Columbia, the place that may sink in the next earthquake. He's from your Living Brand live show. He's a podcast host for Hire, president of Your Brand Marketing. Ben, tell us your podcast experiences.
Well, I think you just did everything. So I've been in the podcasting game for about 10 years now. I've had my main show's been on the air. We're just coming up on 300 episodes. We are 5 years in. It's called the Your Living Brand Live show. Thank you very much. It's been a lot of fun. It was one of those things that 5 years ago somebody dared me to have my own podcast. I went, okay, we'll do 10 episodes. Then we did 50. Then we did 100. And all of a sudden we're at 300 episodes. So it's one of those things that it's just, it's almost like lifting weights. It's a muscle that I exercise at least once a week. It's a lot of fun. But what we do is I've got the new network called the Communicator Y Network. And eventually this is going to be 50, maybe 100 different podcasts on different verticals. And what it is, it's fractional podcasting. It allows companies to come in, be part of a podcast without having their own podcast. And so you could be a guest 12 times a year, be interviewed professionally, and have everything done for you. So that's where we're going.
Perfect. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time, and it's very good because podcasts, of course, car people, as we all discover, we think we know everything. You're at a party and the barbecue won't work. we're the ones that come over and say, don't worry, I'll get it to work. Half the time we end up with
it's always a spark plug, isn't it?
Always a spark plug. Next, we have two people who don't need an introduction to many people here. Very vibrant personalities, great dancer, one great brewer of coffee. We have, first of all, we have Fred, the subprime hero, Leonard III, co-host the Car Guy Coffee podcast, co-founder and president of Consistency of Certified Solutions. There you go. I got tongue-tied once this show. And a Zoom dancer and so much more from Louisville, Kentucky. Fred, tell us about your podcast experiences and your podcast.
Man, I appreciate that. Our podcast experience goes about 2 years now, at least us planning and developing the podcast. Our official launch date was 1/20/2020, and it's been just rocking and rolling ever since. The one thing, and I love that, I'm the president of Consistency for the Certified Solutionaries, which is an agency Lou and I just started. And we believe in one major thing, in order to keep growing, you have to forgive, focus, and fly, right? And forgiving is huge, Lou. And Lou he's brought that to my heart. He's somebody that I'm so glad I'm partnered up with in order to go through this voyage that we're going through now. I'm currently 2 weeks released from a dealership. I finished out last month. Now I'm out here doing it, having fun. This podcast is going to be amazing. We're having a lot of good times with the Car Guy Coffee podcast, meeting so many amazing people. Our whole show premise is to bring people on the show and uplift them. This business, there's a lot of stigma against us. There's a lot of people out there that are not in this business that think that we're scumbags. In a lot of cases, they're correct. And I'm not going to, shade that up a little bit. There's a lot of truth, but the matter of fact of all this is that there's a lot of amazing people in this business too. There's a lot of amazing people who want to change in this business. A lot of us who want this business to flourish. Come on. Right? Come on. So I'm super excited about what's going on. My podcast couldn't have started at a better time. I believe being the president of Consistency is not just something that I put out as a label, but I think I've proven it. And I think that we can show people how to do things like that, how to be more consistent, how to be more caffeinated in our culture, right? All we like to do is not percolate problems. We love to brew solutions. And that's why we believe we're the solutionaries. So we're super excited. Stay tuned for a lot of new stuff coming out, because now that I'm full-time, I don't have a 9-hour, 10-hour job where I have to be there all day to work. This is my new job. This is what I do. This isn't a hobby anymore, folks. So get ready for some fun. I'm looking forward to teaming up with people like Jeff and Ian, because they're doing amazing things, uplifting it, making it fun, showing you could be who you want to be and still be successful. Matter of fact, beyond successful. That's right. So I love you guys for having this. Thank you for having me here. And that's who I am. I'm Fred, the subprime hero in arts, and I'm a certified solutionary.
That's right.
Perfect. So before I go to Lou, I got to tell you something. I want to know, because I follow you, I'm connected with you on Facebook as well. And I see that you and your son are pretty close, but I really want to know something. When he's at school, do you say, listen, you need to sit there and brew out some more homework and percolate it better?
You're right, but I don't have to tell him that.
Not with that boy.
I'm fortunate. I have a great young man that my wife, really did a great job with. I of course I got to take some credit, but my wife was there every day, making sure that he was at school doing his work, that to the point where it's not just like anything else in life. When you do it consistently, it's no longer something you have to do. It's something that you just do. It's something that's in your DNA. And he is beyond what I was at his age. And folks, watch out for Nick Lenartz in the next 20 years. There's going to be some major things happening. That's how close I am with him. He's amazing. And I'm going to stay close with him because I'm going to ride his coattails one day, right?
That's right.
Exactly.
So, he's amazing.
So sitting beside you is not your chief cheerleader and pointer, etc. Is Lou Ramirez, who's the other host of the Car Guy Coffee podcast, the other co-founder, and he's the CEO of Certified Solutionaries and co-host of Think Tank Thursdays with Fred on Zoom. Lou, take it away.
What's happening? I am the Car Guy, and I am excited to be out here with some incredible people. Thank you so much for having us come and bring our party to your show. We are so excited to be the Certified Solutionaries, where in this industry, we know the way. So we show the way, and together with our partners, we go the way.
Yep.
We are also the hosts of the Car Guy Coffee podcast, where, like Fred said, we are trying to go after an industry that is usually finding a reason to percolate problems, and we are brewing solutions. We are making sure that we're putting taking revenue and putting it in the back door. So we're making relationships over revenue, putting people over profits, and we are making sure to forgive, focus, and fly so that we can keep growing. And I love my boy Ben over there how his entire concept is wrapped around the why, which is the very first question we ask on any one of our 5-liners, and is the chief piece of content that we value most of what we ask our people is their why. Why do they do what they do? And as we bridge that gap between people, we like to bring a lot of joy, a lot of seriously silly fun, and make sure that we are having almost more smiles than legally allowed. I am excited to be here with you all, and let's have some fun.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, you guys certainly bring smiles, and we really appreciate you taking the time. And I got to tell you something, I admire you because it takes a lot of guts to leave a job where you're doing well for yourself and making some good money. And I know you were subprime friend. Hey, you know something? In Louisville, that's got to be making a lot of money. No, just kidding. But
it's helping a lot of people,
you know,
which turned into a lot of money. But it definitely helped a lot of people change lives. And
ain't nothing wrong with that.
You know, stepping away was the best thing. We were on top. We had record month after record month. What better time to leave? I have a well, run machine that was doing well. I have a family that at that dealership that's family, and I didn't leave them. I'm just, I'm stepping away to do more, and I'm still helping them. I was just there on Saturday, and I actually just jumped in for an hour, helped sell the Jeep Wrangler, the most expensive vehicle we had on the lot. I got that off the lot for him within an hour because that's what I do, subprime hero.
It better have paid you a bird dog, man. Ian, take it away.
So obviously everyone on here has got a lot of experience in podcasting, but also more importantly, but hey, you got to start somewhere, John.
Episodes, you're better than most.
Yeah, exactly. So in your opinion, what does it take to make a great podcast? And let's start with John, since he's the newest one at the game. What got you into it?
Yeah, pick on the new guy. Well, what got me into it is I used to be behind a microphone when I was younger, a kid. I used to work at the Hamilton Forum as an announcer. And after that, I also worked as a nightclub DJ. And so I loved being behind a microphone. And I thought, gee, I wonder if I could do a podcast. So that's kind of what got me into it, wondering whether I could or not. And so in terms of, what makes a great podcast, I think it's about, talking about things you're interested in, and focusing on your target audience. And of course, my target audience is the automotive industry. And ideally, if you tell stories that are relevant, more people are liable to listen. And the idea is to stay on topic. Try not to wander. Focus on that central idea. And every podcast has something that it's trying to convey to an audience, and you want to play to your audience because, after all, the audience is king.
Fantastic. So, Fred and Lou, you've obviously been at it a while. What's your opinion on what it takes to make a great podcast?
Be different.
Amen.
Be different and be exciting. Be something that people want more of, just like a good cup of coffee.
It's delicious. It's so true, though. I mean, being different is what we all are. There's not a person in the world that's identical to another person. Being an individual is actually the hardest thing in the world to do. We all like to become a group. We like to become a herd, right? Like be the same, makes you feel comfortable. Well, we've come to that fact, and fact of the matter is we believe that being uncomfortable is the only way you can actually grow, right? And being uncomfortable isn't a bad thing. It's just that word sounds bad, right? Uncomfortable, like the flight from Vegas back home. Man, that was horrible. But I tell you, man, those were the worst. It was like a red eye, and I could not sleep. I was like, it was unreal. But that being said, it's about being uncomfortable. Being different, yes, 100%. Being unique. Being you, your true self, the greatest version of yourself, but most importantly, being that.
We have a term that we use when we describe the cafe, is that it's a place to be upshifted and uplifted.
Right.
So when considering content, there has to be a level where you're upshifting them. You're making them literally go to the next level, someplace where it has an actual value to them, but also never discounting how important it is to be uplifting. People will draw back to what they get uplifted by. No different than a person going to a church that they like, a person going to a restaurant that they like, or a
Right.
person going to a concert that they like, right? If they get uplifted, they tend to be drawn by that. That's how most of us enjoy our relationships with people that we like, right? They enrich us, they make us better. And the great thing about our show is that we have each other to lean back and forth on. And that's
Double dragon.
Right. That's a dynamic. Hold on. Let me get shown that double dragon. Bam.
So we've been doing that since day 120, almost 20 years
Yes.
ago, you know, and that's something that it's so true. It's nice to have that. It's accountability too. It's not just someone that has your back. It's the accountability factor of like, I have to be there for Lou. Lou has to be there for me. So we know it's going to happen. And then if somebody cannot, for some dire reason, the other person has their back 100%. There is no bad feelings. Lou and I are 50-50. That's my dude. You know, and I'm always going to be like that with him. And I'm looking forward to growing with him into this world and showing people that you can have trust, which is the most important thing in the world is trust.
How to have it.
And man, what a great time we've been having, man. And this journey has just begun. And those people back there, hello.
Hey.
Yeah. But no, I'm excited about the future. I'm excited, like I said, about the future of automotive. If people in this generation that are coming in see what we have and what we can do, and we can really make a difference, it's going to be big. And I know it's going to be big.
Cool. Thanks. Ben, what do you think?
Well, I want to echo what everybody said so far. It's absolutely important. I mean, here's a frightening statistic. Of the 2.5 million podcasts that there were in 2021, 90% of them never make it beyond 10 episodes.
Wow.
10 episodes, people just sit there and go, this is too difficult. This is too hard. You know, I'm not getting exactly what I want. I'm not getting the downloads that I want. I'm not getting the notoriety that I want. I'm not making any money off of this. I'm done. And the problem is, it's got to be about consistency. It's got to be about a long-term strategy. It's got to be about long-tail marketing. We're in this for the long haul. You're not going to make any money off any particular episode. You're not going to change anybody's life over any particular episode. It's looking at it as a catalog. People want to hear where you've come from, where you are, and where you're going as a podcast. And the other thing is, a podcast is not about you as the host. It's about your guests. It's about your audience. It's about, what are you doing to serve them? What do they want to hear? What's important to them? What's the message that you're trying to bring across, and be consistent about it in terms of what you talk about, the guests that you bring in, the messaging that you bring in, even the sponsors that you bring on your show. Everything has to be about your audience. How do you make their lives better? How do you get them at the end of every single episode to go, that was cool. I either want to share this or I want to listen to more. And that's what being a good host is all about. And that's how you grow as a show.
Yeah, I have to agree with that 100%. And we've done, I guess we're closing on 2 years of episodes now. We do it weekly. And really, for us, it's always been about the guests and the listeners. I mean, it's not about us. I mean, recently we started talking a little bit about us because people are curious. But, really, it's really, for us, it's about the guests. And it's about adding value to the listeners. So to I guess, twist on that, Jeff, I think you have a question that's kind of like...
Well, Ben, you touched on that. But so how does somebody go about attracting listeners? Because I actually have that question for myself. We would like to grow this platform and this show into something, quite big, that we get invited to the next convention to do shows. Well, seriously though. But how do people get their podcast? They attract listeners.
I think it's the Seth Godin. People like us do things like this. If you can sit there and build a loyal audience, whether that audience is 10, 50, 100, 500, 1,000, whatever, those people will turn around and tell people. The podcasts that I listen to are all podcasts that have been recommended to me. Let's face it. As I said, there's 2.5 million podcasts out there. I can't find them all. It's the people that I know, like, and trust that are sharing it. And the more we can give our people the ability to share it, hey, on the bottom of every single email signature I have, it says, listen to my podcast, click here. You know, it's in your social media, it's in your email campaigns, it's, you know, it's in the banner ads that you do. Hey, listen, I'm using OBS Studio. You know, you can grab the information right there. It's being able to make yourself visible, and every week making the show better. Because when you make the show better and you invite people in and you have the ability for people to email you and you email them back, or you comment with them on social media, or you have a group or whatever, it's the more you can engage with your audience, the more you can listen to them, the more you can let them know that you care about them. They're going to care about you, and they're going to tell other people about you.
Okay. Does other social media platforms actually help and draw listeners to you, like Facebook through Gail?
I mean, for me, the big thing for me is because my shows are business; they're business to business. So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm 98% locked into LinkedIn, but that's my audience. That's who the people listen to my show are mid to, senior level executives. Those are the people that listen to my main show. So it's understanding where your audience is. Hey, listen, Fred Lou, you guys could do some cool TikTok videos and be able to, bring an audience in on that. And there might be a younger car guys that be interested in that as well. It's a matter of understanding what's your brand, what's your personality, where do you like to hang out, and where does your audience hang out, and be able to speak to them in the medium in the way that makes sense in that medium. So you're going to speak to people differently on Facebook that you are LinkedIn, to Twitter, to TikTok, to wherever. But it's a matter of understanding your audience, understanding where they are and how to speak to them.
Great, thank you very much. So John, now you just started doing this. How are you attracting people to your show?
Let's see. I'm taking dancing lessons from Sue and Fred.
Yes.
and then I'm going to start doing videos. No, listen, I'm kind of starting at the bottom and hope to work my way up. Not that I'll ever get to the level necessarily that Fred and Lou are at, because my main business is still automotive business solutions. But, I certainly use LinkedIn. I use Facebook. I have a lot of friends in the automotive industry, as you can imagine, after decades of being in it. And basically starting off with some word of mouth. And some of the subjects, the topics that I talk about on my show are recommended by listeners. So that's kind of how we're building it, one level at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, and that's true. You're getting that experience.
One more thing to that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Also make sure that it's every episode is shareable by your guest.
Facts.
We create audiograms, we create short videos, we create tweets, we create all sorts of different material for our guests to be able to share them. And they get an email the day that the show goes out saying, hey, here's a whole bunch of material. And so not only am I sharing it on my social media, but they're sharing it on theirs. And so therefore I get the feedback of their audience as well. So
yeah, replays, sharing replays are huge. We have a list of 2,500-ish, and grows every week. But yeah, giving people the ability, if they can't listen live, to record it or to listen whenever they can and share it is huge. Fred and Lou, the pros, tell us.
It's pros. Yeah, I love that you said that. It's funny, but we look at it, and I guess we can say we're pros. We've been doing it for long enough and consistently enough.
We are professionals. And
we are professionals, right? But no, we believe that I could tell you what my whole influence was. It was 3 people, basically. It was, 4. I'll call it 4. We have Gary V, who says just put a bunch of stuff out there, right? Yeah. Grant Cardone, same thing. Shay Rowbottom, who says you could be unique, be you, just show yourself, and people will fall in love with it, and it's true. And that's the easiest thing to do, because you don't have to fake nothing, right? And then of course Glenn Lundy. Glenn Lundy is consistent. he's starting to put a little bit more content, but he's never been let me overload my content, right? He just puts content out there. You got Gary Vee who just crushes it. So my whole philosophy for me was to, when I first started, because I had no idea, I've never been on social media until 2 years ago. Never did Facebook, never. I was on LinkedIn for a couple years though. You know, I much like Ben says, LinkedIn is his audience. That's my favorite audience. That's where I've built all my people, where I found people I get influenced by. I agree. But because of Gary Vee and because of Grant Cardone and because of all these other people, I pour it everywhere. I already do TikToks. I mean, if you go to my TikTok account, I have tons of things there. I already do Twitter. I put it everywhere. Content is key. I know that at first, sometimes people are like, who is this guy? That's the point. And then eventually they're like, this guy has been doing it for a while. Maybe he's consistent. Now they kind of get warm and fuzzies about it. They're like, oh, there's Fred. He's dancing. And nice. You know, the dancing is something that's actually kind of new. I'm not the dancer. What's so funny is everyone calls me the dancer. This guy right here, you guys got to go look at my posts that I posted of Lou breaking out the Michael Jackson stuff from when we were at Digital Dealer. We had that dance floor. We came to that dance floor. I dance. Don't get me wrong. I still get down. I know how to boogie. But Lou knows how to really cut a rug. I mean, I'm talking about like nasty cut a rug. So go check me out on, everywhere you can find it. I posted it. Lou is boogieing. And there's actually other people who posted Lou dancing too. So I'm just saying, like, he was that good. But, you know, it's just about being consistent, being your true, honest self, but putting it out there everywhere. And like you said, I love what Ben said. You have to know your audience. I really drill hard in my audience. Everything we've done is organic. We haven't spent $1 in advertising. We make all our own commercials. We do everything. And we even, you know, edit our own shows. Just much like you guys, you know, it's no different. It's just, we do it so intentionally and so much of it. And I don't stop. Lou, I remember Lou first told me, he goes, we should trickle this. I said, nah, dude, I'm turning the faucet on and I'm going for it. And I did. So Lou is a trickler. I'm the fauceter, right? So we're kind of like a perfect medium. And we've been able to feed off each other, which in turn, I see Lou doing more and more and more. You can't help it when it's fun, you know, but it's good for what you want to do. If you want your brand to be out there and you want people to know, you got to show them everything. I show you guys everything now. To the point, like El Patron, that's another name I should have thrown out there. Rudy Treminio. El Patron is a huge influence for me too, because if you watch what he does, I don't even do as much as him. Mm-hmm. So I know that I'm not doing enough. So that's why I never feel like I've done too much. I feel like it's the right thing for me. We all have our own speed and what we want. And, you know, I really want to help this automotive industry so much that it's my passion to where, like you said earlier, I left amazing paying job to go out and try to help other people, because it's not about the money anymore for me. I've made plenty of that. It's time for me to go out and really put my legacy out there and put myself out there. So I'm excited.
Fantastic. Great answer. And if you are looking for some Facebook help, shameless plug, you might want to talk to Gail, one of our sponsors. She's very good at that, just so you know.
I'll take the plug any day.
Well, you know, hey, you speak of leaving a lucrative job and then going and creating your own thing. There's Gail right there. And everybody looked at her and said, hey, you know what? I don't know, this Facebook thing, good for you, Gail. You know, what a nice girl you are and everything. And now, like, man, it's big, it's huge. Even got invited by our little redheaded friend to be at driving sales. So by all means.
She's amazing.
That's right. So tell me something. Why are podcasts so popular? I'm actually going to throw it right back to Fred and Lou here. And what do you think?
I think because it's so easily accessible on your time. It's not like you have to catch the radio show. It's not like, you know, you have to reprogram your life around it. You can fit the podcast into different moments of your life. Throw in your earbuds, sit on a train, sit on a bus, sit in the car, right? Turn it on and just take it in. I know that my first encounters really working podcasts and understanding podcasts was really in ministry, just listening to more and more sermons I didn't get the chance to hear live. I didn't get the chance to tune into, whatever the case was. That was my relationship with the entire podcasting flow inside of Apple itself, right? And then creating them for church and stuff like that. So that began to show me just, man, there's just so many ways to take this radio show and make it accessible for somebody whenever they want it. And then you can make whatever content you want. If somebody just listens to it, they don't listen to it, they don't miss it. But if you get your audience tagged in, well, now your audience is always hearing that you have another one. So then they make plans to get in there. The podcast I started listening to were like hour and a half long. And I loved every second of it, right? I had a 30-minute drive to work. I would listen to 30 minutes of it, be excited to get the next 30 minutes of it, and then maybe the next day I catch another 30 here or there. We started making our podcast that way, but realized that for our audience, the short attention span car guys and car gals out there, they can't take an hour and a half, and digest that much. It's a whole pot of coffee. They can only get one cup at a time, right? And so inside of that, we understood that just making sure that we created something that was digestible, understandable, made our podcast be something people can grab quick and easy.
Right.
They can always go back and grab that. After that, that was the base where then they start getting more, okay, well, we want to know more about you and what you're doing. And then they pay attention to what we're doing, right? They get to see more of that as they sip on a little bit of a podcast. But to answer the question, I think just because it is so convenient to plug in the sounds you want to hear when you want to hear them, that if it's something that somebody values, they're going to make time for you, just like any other relationship. And you can do it doing anything. You can run, you know what I mean? You can work in the yard, you know what I mean? You can do whatever.
Driving.
Right. That's your deal, right? So, I mean, just because it's an easy plug in to replace music, you know what I mean? You've heard the song a million times. Plug in a podcast, especially for somebody seeking improvement, somebody wanting information.
Yes, sir.
They'll plug into that. Let me plug in this podcast, have some fun, learn something, make good of my time.
Well, I have to tell you something. There's two things that I do in every show. I get tongue-tied once, and I mention that we want to replace Grant Cardone on the drive into work. Oh, you had something you were saying?
Yeah, I was going to say this episode's really interesting to me because you guys might think this is really weird, but I don't listen to podcasts at all. And I've never even in my life downloaded one or listened to one. And now I'm sitting here going, why? Like, why have I not done that? And it's even more interesting because we built a business. We've been doing this for 5 years. We're extremely successful, and we've never taken our content and put it on that medium. And I'm sitting here going like, why? Like, it's such a pillar of a brand. Like the podcast is a big pillar of what Fred and Lou do. And I'm thinking like, what is my pillar of my brand? And I guess I could say Facebook, but like, I feel like I'm missing the boat now.
Well, how about you come on our podcast?
Listen to a podcast.
We're doing women in automotive right now, have been for the last couple months. I would love to have you on our podcast so we could talk about these things.
You know what would be cool is if the first podcast you listen to is the one that you're the star of. What?
I mean, it would literally be the first podcast I've ever listened to.
Well, let's make it happen. I'm going to send you an invite for that once we get done with this today. Enough about this. Sorry, guys, doing business.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, guys.
Fred, Lou, you may also want to reach out to Sue, who's on the call, and Samantha.
Yes, absolutely. Hello.
There
they are right here.
What's up?
Hello, Sue.
We've done quite a few on Women in Auto, so it's a great thing. Sue, though, just so you know, she is okay with not being on a podcast that's about women in auto. Just to let you know.
Yes.
Sue teaches at an automotive university, and she has invited us twice to teach her class actually for her. And it's fantastic. Like, it's been awesome. So Sue should be on a podcast.
Sue, we would love to invite you. I will definitely reach out to you. I'm writing your name down on my phone. We will get connected. We will make sure that we have that happen. It's not a show about women in automotive, but it's about women in automotive, right? We want to just hyper focus on women because I believe there's not enough shows doing that consistently. And it's not that you need help. None of you women need us men. I get it. You guys are amazing. You guys are powerful. Obviously, you see somebody like Gail go out and do what she's doing and exploding, right? Just like you, Sue, just like anyone, just like every woman out there who's doing it right now, doing amazing things. But we know that you have hurdles and we know it's not level playing ground. So we want to make sure that we can level it out as much as possible for you. So thank you so much for even giving us an opportunity to talk about this right now. I'm excited.
We have a platform with our car guys. So if we get the chance to make sure to endorse and say, listen to what they're saying, right?
What about like
bring them
Car Gal Coffee? Like
we actually started a show called Car Gal Coffee with two ladies. They just, it's hard. Everybody who's ever started a podcast, you understand how much work this is. This isn't easy for all y'all trying to start. I get it. But if you really believe in it, just make sure you do it every week consistent, even when you're tired, even when you feel like it's not enough, you have to do it. Lou and I were doing this at like 3, 4 in the morning when we first started the first 6 months. Like it was like 3 nights a week. We started around 11 o'clock at night. We finished at 3, 4 in the morning because that was the only time we had.
Hey, you even do it when you're on holidays if you want it to go through.
Yeah, you have to, and that's part of it. But you put the passion behind it, and it works. I love him, dude. He's just the man, dude. That's why I love that.
Sure, Samantha have a comment there? Don't mind call you out, but if you have a comment.
She just said, "Yay, I'm so excited." And by the way, guys, Fred and Lou, I want you to know, I don't know if you really want to reach out to Sue because she doesn't know a heck of a lot about the car business above the level of CEO of a manufacturer, and she's shy.
Sue is shy?
Sue is shy.
I cannot wait to interview her. I can't wait to interview all you ladies. I can't wait to interview everyone out there. I still got to get Ian on the show. I still got to get Jeff on the show. We just got to find the time. But here's the good news. I'm full-time now, so there's a lot more time. So we're going to be getting a lot more amazing guests to uplift this business. And we're going to be able to amplify this by like 100. I'm pumped. Yeah. So pumped up.
Well, you know, the car business, we've always learned one thing. We build our business by network. We don't build our business by ads, even though we used to spend, I mean, Sue, you can certainly talk about this, spending thousands of dollars every Thursday or Monday, whenever the newspaper came out, and half of your day sticking little cars onto the sheet of paper to tell the people, the newspapers, what to do. But yet we made all our business on networking people. So everybody's been talking here, but Ben's been quiet. So Ben, again, I don't even know where we are. Why are podcasts so popular?
Sorry about that.
I gotcha.
Well, if you go to the Communicator Y page, there's an infographic there that people can download. That's absolutely phenomenal, and that's probably a great place to start. But the reason why podcasts are so popular, as you know, as Fred and Lou said, they're asynchronous. People can listen to them wherever. It's not a FOMO thing. It's not Clubhouse where, oh my God, I missed 10 minutes of it. It's gone. You're never going to see it again. You're never going to hear it again. You can listen at your time and your thing. Like you said, if you guys are up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you got a kick to listen to a new podcast, you can listen to a new podcast. You know, if you want to do it on the car, or you want to do it on the plane, wherever, it makes life so simple. And the nice thing is you can back it up. You can fast forward it. You can stop it. You can play it at 1.5 speed if you want to. Mm-hmm. And it gives you the power to decide what's important, what's not important, what's valuable to you, what's not valuable to you. And it makes it easy for you to share stuff, to be able to start a conversation with others. Like, I know a lot of people who take my podcasts and share it out with their teams and say, hey, listen, you should be listening to this. Or to clients and say, hey, listen, you should be listening to this. That's awesome. And it starts a conversation. It's not about me. It's more likely about my guest. Right. And it starts conversations either within a company or between you and a client, and build those relationships and be able to sit there and take that relationship to the next level. So it's all about not only the relationship and the conversation, but the next conversation. And that's where I think that a real podcast has its power, is being able to start those conversations and taking them to different places.
Perfect. John, I don't even know if we asked you about this question. It's been so long. So why do you think they're so popular?
Well, I go back to the fact that it's very, very convenient. And I think everybody's mentioned that, you can listen to it while you're driving, while you're cooking, while you're cleaning. And it's easy to absorb information, while you're doing something else. And basically that, I think, wraps it up.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ian.
So we're starting with Ben. You mentioned on podcast presentations and marketing. What's one piece of advice you can give to podcasters to succeed?
In terms of what? In terms of marketing, or sorry, I was being drowned out by Jeff's background.
Yeah, I mean, to succeed. So in terms of, like, if I want to get into podcasting, and obviously, you're an expert at that, and you're obviously looking at mentoring them for that. If you had to pick one thing, what would that one thing be in terms of advice for success for someone getting into that?
Pick your own goals. understand what's important to you. What does good look like and what does great look like? What success look like in the first 6 months? What does success look like in the first year? What does success look like in the first 3 years? And be able to sit there and have good, better, best, have that BHAG, that big, hairy, audacious goal in the background that you're reaching towards, but have small little milestones that you're grabbing along the way and celebrating them all, and realizing, hey, listen, your podcast, the one that you started, that you at ground zero, may not be where you are in 3 years from now. Your show may morph, it may change, your audience may change, your style may change, everything could change, and that's okay. And it's a matter of sitting there going, okay, this is what I want to be. And I don't want to be Grant Cardone. I don't want to be Tim Ferriss. I don't want to be Joe Rogan. I want to be Ben Baker. I want to be Fred. I want to be Lou. I want to be John. I want to be myself.
Right.
And what does success look like to me? And I think that's probably the biggest piece of advice I can give every podcaster. Don't try to be somebody else. Figure out your own space.
Great thought. Jeff?
So that's the question there. So you caught me off guard here. So oh my God, guys. So listen, for John, you started podcasting recently. Obviously, we keep talking about this. So what challenges have you experienced and what have you overcome?
Well, when it comes to challenges, I guess the first thing was, one, can I do it? So I went out and we did a test recording with a friend just to make sure that I could. The other thing, of course, was finding the time to do it. And so that was a bit of a struggle. And, I was up at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, working on a script. So finding the time was really a challenge. But now I've got it down to a relatively decent schedule. Then the other thing that I, struggled with is, am I going to do this solo or am I going to do it with guests? And to date, I've been doing it solo, picking out topics that people have recommended to me, and then basically talking on that topic and keeping it in a bite-sized piece for people. The other challenge, of course, is coming up with fresh content. And again, one of the things I rely on here is feedback from listeners, so that it gives me some food for thought.
Well, I have to tell you, it's a great challenge. You're doing it by yourself, and to talk for an hour, et cetera, and well, it's easy to talk, but to actually have content that actually has value to people. And even I'm lucky because we got all you lovely people joining us, Tim and I. So if you're running into a mental block, you got somebody that can pick it up on you right away. And speaking of mental blocks, mine's blocked. Ian, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, my piece of advice there, John, and granted, I sort of got thrown into this by accident, but I had definitely experience being on podcasts years ago. A buddy of mine used to do one on social media at the back of a bar every week. So I used to do that when I sold cars, which was always interesting because they do 3 episodes at one sitting, and the episodes got more interesting as people got more drunk. Their comments got a little bit racy, but we get some of our best show ideas actually from shows that we do or from our guests. So we get thinking about it after we do a show or during a show sometimes, where we get an idea from something that comes up on the show. The other thing is, in my opinion, is you can't underestimate the value of guests. Even if it's a 1 guest show or a 2 guest show, or I think we've had as many as 8 on one show. Realistically, the guests add a lot, but also they come up with stuff that you really haven't thought of. So I'm not saying don't do your own show, but you may want to play around with doing guests. The other
definitely in the future.
Yeah. I mean, the other piece of advice I would give, it's tough for one guest to hold a 1-hour show by themselves. That's tough. I mean, we've had it happen, but I can tell you that it's a lot to ask of one guest to do a 1-hour show by themselves. That's another piece of advice. Anyway, Fred and Lou, obviously balancing your business with podcasting ventures, that's a little bit of a different thing now for Fred since he's doing it full time. But before you did that, and congratulations, by the way, how did you balance that? How does that work?
You know, I'm very big about a planner every single day. You know, I'm very organized. I've been working on my self, growth for the last 5+ years now, whether it be reading, working out, finding ways, spending time every night, 30 minutes, learning something new. So that's something that I dedicate myself to, and writing things down. You know, my planner, like, you probably can't see anything, but it's like completely filled out to the fullest. I don't know if you
Wow.
always filled out. I always know where I'm going to be, when I'm going to be. Don't get me wrong. I allow myself for some cushion. Of course, I have family time. I even write down time in here like wife time. I want to make sure she gets all the love that she deserves, right? My son time. I'm going to make sure my son has all the time that he deserves. I have to let myself know that, because we all think,
Nice.
and the thing about us certified solutionaries, we always lead with love, and love is our number one core value. And that's why you have to always go to that first, right? That's what matters. That's why I put these hours in. So I had to find time. It was hard. I had to dedicate. I waited for my wife to go to sleep. That's why we did 11 o'clock at night. His wife was asleep. My wife was asleep. We can do 11 to 4 in the morning, get up at like 6, 7 and go to work the next day and crush it, because we had to. But that's passion.
Not every morning was the 4.
No, not every morning. 3 o'clock on average, probably. But it was fun being creative, and we enjoyed it, and we knew. But it was only 3 nights a week. We didn't have to do it every night, So we just.
But who has to drive home early in the morning?
Yeah.
Where do you do this? You're in your basement.
So we're inside of Fred's basement. I drive about 20 minutes to come out here and get everything cooking. But it's worked out great for us. But we are both military men, so we come from a world of understand time management, know how to leverage every single moment that you have. And although some of what we do seems fluid and like it's not really coming together, we are way more calculated. We just have more fun, but we've also have a synergy that's been working together for almost 20 years.
Yeah, I get it.
So we understand how to flow inside of each other's time.
Almost finish each other's sentences,
Right. And in the car business, what we understood was what our schedule really looked like. We knew we only had so much time in the evening, so much time in the morning, then we had to go. But we were blessed to not have a traditional dealership lifestyle that was inside of the store around the service time as well. To have a service department where you had to be prepared there 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, we had a 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock time to show up and start doing the actual business. So we had grace on different ends to fit it in.
It was divine.
But
Everything was, all the stars lined up. Even my 75 hard challenge, at the end of it all, the last day of my 75 hard was actually the last day of me working at the dealership. And I didn't even plan it that way. It just worked out that way. To me, everything is divine. I was ready. That 75, once I finished that, I was like, boom, let's go. I'm ready to go. So, yes.
Divine timing. It's all in divine timing.
Yes.
It's all meant to be.
You guys are really brave, because you're talking a lot about self-growth. I don't know how deep you've gone into your self-growth, but I definitely understand it, because I did a lot of it and became like, I'm actually a Reiki master. I don't know if you guys know what that is.
I know exactly what that is.
Yeah, so I actually just became a Reiki master on Saturday. I'm going to start to publicly bring that out on my Facebook and stuff. But I was going to say, you guys are really brave for doing that type of work, because that is the hardest work in the world to do, is like look at yourself and like grow and change and be better and understand divine timing. I mean, that's like, it's amazing for me to see men doing that. Like, that's fascinating to me.
It's because you have to be I believe in trust, and trusting yourself is how other people will trust you. You cannot really ask for trust if you can't even trust yourself to wake up on time. You can't even trust yourself to do what you say you're going to do the next day. So I've really worked hard on that. It was not easy. I mean, there's plenty of times, there's no doubt I couldn't have trusted myself.
I would actually like to interview you guys on my Facebook page about that. Like, nothing to do with the car business, but like self-growth.
Anytime, you can just name it.
That would be amazing.
Oh, well, awesome. It would be an honor. It would be an honor.
Well, I do have to tell everybody here that it's
left. So, final comments, Jeff, or final comments from our panel?
How about we go to the panel first?
Yep, go ahead.
Thanks for having me on again. And great to see all the other guests here today, catching up with a few people that I've known from the past and a few new ones.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
Yeah?
Great being on the panel. Love seeing the passion. when you're going to start a podcast, just do something you love. That's what I tell people. Just do something you love, something you enjoy, and it will work out. It always does.
Fantastic. Fred and Lou, any final thoughts?
Keep it hot. Keep it warm.
That's right.
Keep it.
And that's the thing, we just want people to just be the best version of yourself. I love this. Ben, thank you so much for all your input today.
Yes.
You are echoing exactly what I would love to talk. You're the man.
Together, Ben.
We definitely need to get together, collab on something. You're amazing. John, keep pushing through. Consistency is the key. You're already doing it. Just keep going. Content will come to you.
You want a guest? You got a couple right here.
And I had somebody that once told me, there's not enough new content in the automotive industry to do this for a while. I was like, are you kidding me? It's always changing. It's always evolving. And the people are always, I just looked at him and laughed. I was like, okay, you're right. Good job. So anyway, that being said, John, excited. Gail, everyone, Sue, everyone who's here, I appreciate you for coming in, watching with us. We had a great time today. Thank you for letting us talk our butts off like we always do. We can't help it. We're podcast hosts.
One thing we need to do.
There's one last thing.
Everything
We all go,
everywhere
guys.
we go.
One thing.
We have to bring you all in on the secret handshake, and that's to wipe off the weight of unforgiveness. Focus on what it is that you can and want to do, and then fly so that you can keep going. So help us out as we complete our part of this incredible show, and let's forgive, focus, and fly together. Put your hands on your shoulders like this, and then get ready to wipe it off and repeat after me. 1, 2, 3. Forgive. Focus.
Focus.
Fly.
Fly.
And keep growing. Keep growing. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Keep growing, my friends. Keep growing.
Well,
Have a great week.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you all taking your time and being with us. And this was a very enjoyable show and definitely worth our while. And one final thing I'm going to say in parting is everybody here on the show has discovered guts in breaking out of what they did and go to somewhere uncomfortable. And a lot of the time, uncomfortable is what pays off for you. And good for you, and definitely love and everything else. So thank you. All the best.
Yeah.
I can go back on my holiday. Bye.
Enjoy your
holiday, Jeff. Love you, brother.
Hey, Jeff.